How to open Subaru hatch light.
Okay, for my lighting guys, for the lighting professionals, the quick answer is you're gonna cut it, definitely. Ultrasonic cutter is gonna be the move. Dremel will work as well. If this is your first time working on lights, let's start with which tools you're gonna need. Okay, let's start with cling wrap. So we're gonna use this to wrap up the lenses because we really don't wanna scratch it. We're gonna have to set the lens down like this a couple of times, and the last thing you wanna do is scratch that lens. Next up is gonna be some sort of ultrasonic cutter. So I've got two options. The Wonder Cutter is only okay. These things die on me just because it's battery powered. And I just got this. So far the cut is good and it stays on a lot longer than that one does. This is the Tech. Now, if you don't want to spend $400 on a Wonder Cutter, you can use a Dremel, just a Dremel 200. These things are like 50 bucks with a diamond bit. That's another like 20 bucks. And the cut is going to be super clean. This is just really, really dusty. Once you have it cut, then you're going to need to pry on it. I really recommend using pocket screwdrivers if you need to use this, but most likely something this big is going to crack the lens. Use this and just get in there and slightly twist. It'll come out. Now to get the lens to stay, we're going to use shoe goo and some tape just to hold the lens in place. But the shoe goo is the adhesive that I like to use. Once it cures up really well. And if you need to, you can heat it up and pull the whole thing off in one sheet. Pretty nice to use. To keep it watertight, we're going to use black silicone, specifically silicone 2. This is the only one I have found that doesn't shrink. Now this is optional, but I do recommend getting some sort of foam pad thing or like leftover carpet or something like that so that you can accidentally drop this, or if it falls like that, you really don't have to worry about it. Again, that's optional. It's just taking a step further. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with the inner piece. So we are going to cut right in between the back housing and the lens to get this off. The ultrasonic cutter is actually perfect for this because there is more than enough space for a blade like this, but it would be probably a little bit tight if you were doing it with the Dremel and the diamond bit. You can see right here, I'm just going right in between there. And now there really is no strategy with this other than trying not to break the lens. If you cut a little bit of the back housing, that's okay. The silicone's gonna hide all that and you're not gonna see it from the front. All right, once you have it all cut all the way around, you can kind of look along the edges there and see what's been cut and what hasn't yet. I'm 100% sure that it's been cut. Then you're gonna take your pocket screwdrivers and put it in there and give it a little bit of a twist and it should loosen up. If it's tight anywhere, just go ahead and cut it again right where it's tight and then twist again. It should fall right apart. Now for the light that goes on the body. This is gonna be the same process. You're gonna cut all along the edges except for the top. So down this side, all the way to here is basically the same. The top is where things get a little weird. This is my first set of opening these, so you may have a different technique than I do. And if you have a different technique or a better technique, go ahead and let us know in the comments because this is the first set that I've ever done like this. But I know that it's gonna work. I know it's gonna be sealed and I know that it's gonna look good. So that's why I'm gonna show you exactly what I did on this set. So we're gonna follow along right in between the housing and the lens right here and all right here up until you get to here. Now the problem is there's a little bit of an overhang. You can see where it's actually plastic welded right through there, but there's a little bit of an overhang and we obviously can't get there. So what I have done is cut straight through the plastic right here, all the way down into the lens. It worked really well on the other side, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do it on this side as well. I'll show you once I get there. I like to do the rest of the cut first, and then we can cut straight across the top. This is where I'm gonna cut through the plastic all the way down into the lens. So, I'm literally gonna go. Go ahead and check and see if I have it all cut. Now, the top is the scary part. It's a little harder to tell if it cut through by looking at it. Got it. With the lens off, now you can do all your modifications. In our case, we're gonna do an illumaesthetic kit with color shifting on it. After your modifications, you're gonna wanna reseal it. Now, I obviously have not resealed these yet since I just cut them open, but I can go ahead and show you the process by using a different set of lights that we already built and I already filmed. So I'm gonna cut to that right now. What you're gonna do is you're gonna set everything in place and use your tape. Okay, tape is on. So what I'm looking for whenever I do this is to match OEM fitment. So the main thing I'm focusing on here is this inside line, because if this isn't exactly like OEM, then it's going to look really weird sitting next to the other tail light, because these are a set. So whenever these are on the car, if these two lines are off, it's gonna mess up the whole light, this whole light, and the fitment is gonna be really bad. Now it's time to add your shoe goo or goop. And you're gonna put it right inside the crack, in between the housing and the lens. I like to do 3 or 4 spots on this one. 3 is gonna be plenty. On this big one, 4 is definitely gonna be recommended. Okay, you don't have to do this next thing if you don't want to. They're your lights, you do you. But I like to clean this up. That doesn't look professional at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, make it look completely flush so that it looks like it's supposed to be there. Pro tip, spray glass cleaner on your fingers whenever you go to wipe your silicone or your adhesive. It helps it not stick to your fingers. Yeah, that looks much better. Time to do the same to these. Okay, you're gonna wanna leave these sitting for at least 24 hours. I like to make sure that that adhesive is really cured before I mess with it. I don't wanna accidentally move the lens and make the alignment off. Okay, it is the next day. The adhesive is fully cured, so now we can actually put in the silicone to seal it up and make it watertight. This is the silicone I use. Just make sure that you get silicone 2. Silicone 1 shrinks after a little bit and silicone 2 does not. They sell it in multiple different colors. I always use the black one. It looks the cleanest. Before adding the silicone, I like to inspect the lens and make sure that there is no dust or debris inside, because we still have these cracks, so we can actually use our compressed air and clean it out before we seal it up. Okay, this is all sealed up. We do have to let this cure. I think cure time on this is just a couple of hours, so that's not too bad. But you're probably thinking that this still doesn't look too good. All of this edge right here, that looks horrible. I've had several people ask why I don't put paint on the inside, and I actually have. Putting paint on the inside actually still shows the cut. It's a lot lighter. The plastic shows up a lot lighter compared to the not cut part. So that's why I paint the outside, because it actually hides absolutely everything. All of this cut, all the silicone. You can actually see right here, all of this is filled with silicone. So it should be solid black like this very, very thin edge here, but it's showing up white. I normally do a black border. I think this time I'm gonna do a silver border. People seem to like the all silver chrome look. So I think that's what I'm gonna do this time. I'm gonna try a metallic silver and see how the border looks on this. All taped off, ready for paint. All right, that turned out great. I am really glad I went with metallic silver on this set. It complements the chrome perfectly. Of course, I still have one more to do because of the lens that I broke. That one's not here yet. I'm just waiting for the Specty lights to come in so I can cut that open, get that lens on, painted, and then I can ship this set out. The only other step that we have is to replace the halogen bulbs with red LED bulbs. I do recommend leaving the turn signal bulb as the amber halogen because the LED one is going to make it hyper flash. If you don't mind the hyper flash, you can leave it. Or if you really need the LED turn signal and don't want hyper flash, you can use load resistors. I personally don't like using load resistors. I don't want to tap into the OEM wire harness. So I always just leave the regular halogen orange bulb in there. But that bulb right there is going to get replaced for sure. And I think this one will too. I can't remember which ones light up as the brake lights and which ones don't. But after that, they'll be ready to ship.